Hey guys, welcome to Nothing Geek TV. And this video is about Moto E 2014, which is the first generation Moto E versus Moto E second generation versus the Moto G second generation smartphone. So guys, starting from the smallest of the phones, this phone got a 4.3-inch QHD display. Moto G second gen got a 4.5-inch QHD display, and the Moto G2 got a 5-inch HD display. Now, when it comes to performance, I ran Antutu benchmark on all the three devices, and let's compare the scores. So guys, as you can see, Moto E first generation, due to its dual core Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, is getting a score of 13,591, whereas the processor in the Moto E second gen is a Qualcomm Snapdragon quad core processor, which is giving this phone a score of 17,946, almost 18,000. And a quad core processor, Snapdragon, is giving Moto G2 a score of 18,828. Now, moving on, I'll show you the multi-touch on all the three handsets. Alright, a 5-point multi-touch on the Moto E first gen, a 5-point multi-touch on the Moto E second gen, and a 5-point multi-touch on the Moto G second gen as well. So this is fantastic. Now let me show you, tell you about another interesting aspect is that all the three phones support memory card. It can be inserted and apps can be moved to the micro SD card on both the handsets. When it comes to OTG guys, Moto E first gen does not support it. Moto E second gen does not support it. This phone, Moto G second gen, does supports OTG. You can directly run any game or watch any video which is present in the pen drive by plugging in this OTG cable and you know working your way through the task, whether it be a game or a video. So guys, all in all, I also played games. So when it comes to gaming performance, Moto G2 and Moto E second generation are ranked quite similar. You can play games like Asphalt 8 Airborne at medium and low graphic setting, while the phone game will be a bit of trouble in the Moto E second gen. You can again play moderate games on all three phones. And talking about other kind of multitasking guys, everything is good and easy on Moto E as well on all the three phones. I would not distinguish. However, at times you will need things extra zippy, extra fast. That is possible on both these Moto G2 and Moto E2. Things will be just a bit slower and on the Moto E first generation, saying that things won't be laggy and it won't be a case where you won't be able to complete those. So even this phone is good enough with multitasking and opening multiple tabs while browsing. Next, coming to the camera section, I clicked some images which I'll show you. These are similar images, so we'll get a better idea on how to uh, compare those. So I'll just tilt these phones to the landscape mode. Guys, as you can see, the image is, first of all, it's full screen and wider on Moto G2. This phone got a 8 megapixel rear camera, and check the amount of details and colors. They are simply fantastic. They are really good. Now the image is smaller on the 5 megapixel camera of Moto E2, but then also it's not as good as the Moto G2. but the detailing and other colors are pretty fine. When it comes to the Moto E first generation, it can capture a fine okayish image. It's autofocus camera, so we can't expect much from it. Let me compare it with the Moto E2 because both the phones got a 5 megapixel camera, and this comparison will be better. So guys, the detailing is good on both the phones, but the natural colors and the fineness of the image is much better in the Moto E second gen smartphone, guys. So all in all, when it comes to the camera, this is the number one phone, this is the number two phone, and this is the number three phone. Coming to another aspect, which is the battery aspect, let me show you what we got at the back. So on Moto E first gen, the battery is sealed. It's a 1900 mAh battery, which easily lasts one day because I got a smaller screen size and there are slots for two SIM cards and one micro SD card. On Moto E second gen, I can't remove the backplate. There is no backplate as such. I have to remove this side perimeter, and I can put in a micro SD card in this slot, one SIM card in this slot, one SIM card I've already inserted, and this is the space for the micro SD card. Now moving on to the Moto G2 smartphone, guys. Two SIM card slots here, battery seal, and one memory card slot here. It got a 2070 milliamp hour battery, which will not last one complete day. The battery backup is average. So the battery backup is best in the Moto E2 since it got a huge 2390 milliamp hour battery, which is almost a 2400 mAh milliamp hour battery, which is fantastic. It got a QHD display, but the screen size is 4.5 inch, so it easily lasts one complete day and more. So when it comes to battery, number phone 1 is this, number phone 2 is this, and number phone 3 is the Moto G second gen smartphone. So guys, we covered a lot of ground in this video. We talked about design, display, build, performance, camera, images. So let me sum up things for you. Now the Moto E1, it costs rupees 6,000, which amounts to $100 as such, and the phone is good enough. I mean, if you don't want a front-facing camera from your device, this phone is running on Android KitKat 4.4.4. We don't know when a Lollipop update will arrive. There is no front-facing camera. The rear camera is not good either. It's a fixed focus rear camera. The multitasking display and the performance of this phone are really good. As far as speakers are concerned, all the three phones have a decent enough speaker. Uh, the battery backup of this phone, according to the screen resolution and size of the screen, is good enough. So if you are having a constraint of $100 budget, rupees 6,000 budget, then this phone won't disappoint you if you want to go for the Motorola brand. Uh, when it comes to Moto E2, you need to spend extra $1,000. Now, what this phone will give you an extra $1,000 is the screen resolution is same as the Moto E one smartphone, but it's a 4.5 inch display as compared to 4.3 inch display. There's also front-facing VJ camera. Of the image quality is nothing great, but of a VJ camera, but still it is there. Apart from that, you won't be getting anything extra. A little bit good enough performance from the processor. Multitasking will be better, although not much significant difference, but this processor is zippier than and faster than the Moto E first gen smartphone. The battery backup is more than this Moto E first gen smartphone, 7,000 rupees, around almost say 120 dollars around. And coming to the last phone, which is the Moto G second gen smartphone, it costs around rupees 10,000, which is around 180 $170 or so. Go for it if you want a big 5-inch display, which is really beautiful. Now the touch is splendid on all three handsets. It's a really nice touch. The devices look premium, the weight is optimum, and you won't be getting the feel of a cheap device. But in the Moto G2, the display is slightly bigger, so it's extra nice. The camera is fantastic. I mean, these two phones can't match the camera of Moto G second gen, and the performance is more or less similar as to Moto E2. The front facing, rear facing camera is the area where it scores. Battery is not its stronghold. Uh, Go for this phone basically if you want a bigger screen size and a really nice camera. So guys, thanks for watching the video. Hopefully I might have answered all your most of your queries in this video. If you have any questions still left, I'll answer those personally. Kindly hit the subscribe button and leave your comment in the comment section below. See ya next time.